It's time for the long-term review of the TrimmOne LITE computer. The bike computer that promises 50 hours of battery life. For 9 months now I've been putting it through its paces and taking it out on rides and comparing it to what other bike computers are out there to see if this computer is worth your money. If you'd like a detailed review of all the features, be sure to check out the original review, which I'll link below and above. This review is more about some follow-up things, some areas of concern I had. So yeah, I've been putting it through its paces and asking the company questions. In fact, it has changed since I started using it, with new features being added with new releases. The package I've been testing is the full bundle, which comes with the speed sensor and the solar charger. If you already have a speed sensor, you can get the other bundle, which is €259 versus €289. However, the one really great thing that I learned recently about the speed sensor is that it is also solar charged. And Trim have some new options coming out, so be sure to watch the whole video to find out more about that. For those of you who don't watch my channel, and you should be subscribing, just to give you an idea of the type of riding I do long rides, endurance rides. I'm usually riding in areas I don't know where I'm going. Finally, here in Bristol, I've been here 2 years, I'm starting to piece together the lay of the land, so I'm relying less on navigation. So things that are important to me are navigation and battery life. The speed sensor, like I mentioned, is solar powered, so no battery to worry about running out. So even if you already have a speed sensor, I'd recommend the speed sensor that Trim makes. And despite the winter here being pretty dark and gloomy this year, it has never run out of power. So, you know, a ride in the sun now and then will give you all the power it needs. One of the concerns I had mentioned in the previous video was the buttons aren't very raised, and I was worried when I had gloves on in cold weather I would struggle to find the buttons or accidentally press the wrong one. I did do that once and I learned my lesson very quickly, so I went to press the middle button, which is what you press to change the page view, and I accidentally paused the ride. So now whenever I change my page view, I just quickly glance down to make sure that the computer hasn't been paused accidentally. No big deal. It's actually only ever happened once, so it wasn't quite as big a deal as I thought, because really the only button you do use is that middle one, so on your ride anyway. So that's been great. It's not as big as a problem as I thought. Customizing this display is super easy in the phone app. You can do it on the fly, on a ride. I really enjoyed perfecting my display. You know, it is easier in the Garmin in that way, and I think most computers are easier than the Garmin. The Garmin takes a lot of digging around and stuff and getting to know it. The screen on this computer is made with Gorilla Glass, and it has an anti-glare coating on it, and it works really well. I find this screen is easier to read than my Garmin as far as glare is concerned, especially if there's water on top of it and it's raining. It doesn't seem to cause the issues. I find the Garmin beads of water pool and it's hard to read the display. It also has a backlight, so I have it on auto, so it senses that it's gotten darker and the backlight turns on, and you can adjust how bright your backlight is. So lots of customization there too. Really enjoying the display and the crispness of the screens. One of the issues I had when I first started using the TrimmOne is connectivity issues. Now, I don't have a brand new fancy phone. I have a very nice phone, but it's a Pixel 2, it's a few models old, and I have connectivity issues with other devices with that phone, so I couldn't be sure if it was my phone or the device. I did reach out to support from TrimmOne and mentioned I was having issues with it. Just having to repair the device more than I would have liked was the problem. So their support has been phenomenal. They respond in reasonable amounts of time, and they are so patient with all my questions. So if you guys ever have a question about your device, don't hesitate to reach out to them for help. They did take on board what I had said and looked into it, and they put out a release and then they checked back with me to see if I had any improvements. So, you know, amazing support from the company for their device. They're really proud of their device and it shows. So I'm happy to say that over time that issue has diminished. So not sure why, if it was from their improvements and tweaking it to make it work better with, you know, my Android. And that brings me to my next point, which is their updates. They are regularly doing updates that bring features to the device. Since I've started using the device, they've added support for commute, training peaks, and auto reroute. So that's just some of the updates I've seen in the past 9 months, along with, you know, just the general experience improving with each update. There are 2 modes you can use this computer in. Standalone, which could be really good for those of you out there who do events that you need a backup computer for in case your main computer fails, because you can let this one run in standalone mode and, you know, its long battery life will work for you. And yeah, it's just standalone recording your rides. But in standalone, you don't have all of the features you have when you're connected to your phone. So when you're connected to your phone, you can see the little phone up on the top bar, so you know you're connected. So when you are connected to your phone, you get all of the full features, including navigation and message alerts. So you can get alerts that you've got a message in Telegram and WhatsApp, your normal text messaging, phone calls coming in. So Snapchat, there's all kinds of messaging services. It will alert you who's trying to message you. Now maybe that's annoying, so you can also turn those off. So up to you, but it's there if you like it. As for battery life, this battery will last 15 hours without the speed sensor, or it will last 50 hours if you use the speed sensor, because it uses that sensor to make less calls to the satellites, and that's how it conserves battery power. And then if you have the solar charger on top of that and it's a sunny day, you could virtually go out with full power and arrive home also with full power. Now, the charge with the solar panel, as it's so small, isn't a huge charge, but it's enough to keep the battery topped up as you're riding. So on a long ride, on a sunny day, you would never have to worry about your battery running out. The last thing I want to mention about battery life is I was a bit concerned about my phone, and it's great you have a computer, the battery lasts for ages, but how's that going to affect the battery life on my phone if they're connected? And I'm really happy to say that it uses very little power from my phone. I don't want to give you numbers because my phone battery actually needs replacing. It is toast. But even on my battery that's poorly, it's not noticeable. So I'm sure on a phone with a healthy battery, you guys will notice, very, very little drain on your battery. One of the applications I think the TrimmOne will be amazing for is Audax rides because of the long battery life, but it is limited to the amount of waypoints as far as turn-by-turn navigation. So you're always going to have the map and the, where you are on your route, and you can see that. But I love a good turn-by-turn navigation, how long to my next turn and all of that stuff. So this one was limited by a certain amount of waypoints, which weren't very much. I just want to say it was 35 or 29, or it wasn't very much. If you're doing 200-300k ride, it's going to have a lot of turning points. So I'm happy to say in a near future release they're upping that to 80, so hopefully that will make a big difference. And if you had, say, a 200-300k Audax and it was more than 80, you could break that file into two and then get your turn-by-turn navigation that way. On the TrimmOne app, you can cache maps. So I recommend caching your local area, and then you can lock that cache. If you're going somewhere, it will delete itself after 2 weeks. So if you're going somewhere and you don't have mobile data where you're going, cache the map when you have Wi-Fi or before you leave, and it will just be there waiting for you, and you don't have to worry about data and all that stuff. It also means that if you're out and about and you happen to lose signal, the map won't disappear on you and you'll still be able to navigate. So there's a lot of reasons to look into getting those maps cached on your phone. So I get distracted on rides sometimes, admiring the view, or there's just a lot going on. So I really rely on a beep to warn me that a turn is coming up. And this computer does beep, so I was like, oh, I wish it would beep for, turn-by-turn navigation and give me that heads up. And I'm so excited that in an upcoming release, they are implementing that. The other thing I had wanted to see in this machine is an audible beep if you start riding without recording. Because I did this the other day. I was 2k into my ride and going, why is it still 0 distance? And I was like, oh, I didn't press record. I know, everyone's done it at some point. So they're adding that beep to warn you that, you're moving. Do you want to record? There is nothing worse than losing a ride because of computer failure. And this machine has not yet once crashed. I've not run out of battery with it yet either. I've come very close on a recent ride. So if you're connected to your phone and something happens to the TrimmOne, the battery dies, you don't have to worry about losing ride data. The phone is continually saving and taking that information from the computer, and it will continue recording for you. It's nice peace of mind. You don't have to worry about losing ride data. At the beginning of the video, I promised some exciting news for you, and that's that Trim are releasing a new model. It will have all the amazing features of this one, but it will only come in black, and it will be plastic casing instead of the aluminum, which means it will be lighter, as if 62 grams isn't light enough. It will be a touch wider, I think that's because of the plastic, and it will be less expensive. So they don't have exact pricing yet, but I believe it will be under 200 euros. For all of you who've made it this far into the video, I have a little surprise for you. To say thank you for your patience and waiting for the long-term review, I went to TrimmOne and I asked them if they would maybe do a little discount code for you guys. And I'm happy to say they've come through. So check the details below for the information on that. And if you're wondering what to watch next, be sure to check out my Audax series so you can learn more about endurance riding. As always, thanks for watching. Until the next video.